Welcome to Cinemike and Miller.
So yeah, Cinemike, movies of the 70s. What are we interested in the 70s?
That's pretty broad. I would say that was probably my favorite decade.
Yeah. Did you have any particular standouts or favorites that come to mind that we could talk about?
God, I think the 70s is kind of a shitload of standards and favorites, right?
It's like, a shitload, yeah.
It's got to be the biggest decade of standards and favorites, right?
Big load of shit, yeah.
I mean, they're making shit that they still make sequels to today, and they're actors that are still around today. And
no, that's true. That's true. Well, let's get
shit that you go and see, like, was an independent movie, was like mainstream back then. And
so what's a good starting point to light a fire into this conversation?
I mean, there's so fucking many. There's like Star Wars and The Godfather and Jaws.
Somewhere in space, this may all be happening right now.
Jaws?
Yeah.
Holy shit, yeah. Okay, let's go with Jaws for a minute. That was like the first big blockbuster that ever hit the town. The first time you really saw people, like, on a regular basis, everywhere you went, wrapped around the cinema looking to get their asses frightened to shit. Remember, I went to a cinema with my sister, and when that head popped out of the boat, remember that scene when the head popped out of the boat? She took a big freaking tub of popcorn and screamed, and the whole cinema was filled with just flying popcorn on that scene.
So yeah, that's even the birth of, what, summer movies and shit, like mainstream shit.
Yeah, mainstream blockbusters. And then if you go to Star Wars, he really had the angle on both special effects and the toy tie-ins, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
I mean, shit, everyone I knew had the toys. I had the toys. Like, that was a pretty big movie.
Yeah.
It's still a big movie.
Do you think that him being overzealous about the toys is what made Phantom Menace such a butthole of a movie?
I don't know. I think we're a little veering off. That's like 20 years later, isn't it?
Yeah. But you said that was this. These are the seeds that grow these films. Well, I don't know if I want to eat that fruit. Is Phantom Menace as bad as everybody thinks it is?
I didn't remember it being as bad. I mean, I just remember being kind of underwhelmed.
If there hadn't been the first 3 Star Wars movies, would everybody have been blown away by it?
Well, I mean, probably not, but probably if there weren't Jaws, nobody would give a shit about something. I don't know.
Excuse me!
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
All right, back to the 70s, grindhouse stuff, martial arts films. I remember going to see, I think it was Game of Death with Bruce Lee, the last film he made. He died in the middle of it, and then they had like an actor pretend to be him, and he totally didn't look like him.
I remember they had Bruce Lee back then.
Oh, Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
Bruce Lowe.
Bruce Vislow and blah, blah, blah.
Bruce Lollipop.
I mean, even then, like, I don't think you can look at that. I mean, I guess they've been Kung Fu classics since then, but
yeah,
just think of when you think Kung Fu, you think gritty 70s shit,
Let me ask you this.
Black Belt Jones and shit.
Since we're over there now talking about Bruce Lee, do you think that the iconic yellow jumpsuit that Bruce Lee wore, and on his motorcycle, that had shades of anime and all kinds of stuff, and that
well, I mean, obviously, the yellow jumpsuit was the shit Uma Thurman was in Kill Bill.
Yeah, that's right.
So obviously, Tarantino is totally influenced by cinema of the 70s.
I think so, too, and I think that's one of the great iconic images to come out of the 70s. What's another one?
Like, fuck, there's so many. I mean, what do you have, like, The Exorcist and the guy walking up the stairs and shit? You have just the shark's mouth and Jaws, you have, God, like, tons of shit.
Yeah, The Exorcist was a...
Dirty Harry.
That's still one of the most frightening films ever made, The Exorcist.
Yeah.
It creeps me out to this very day, because there's religion and truth in it, and people are afraid of religion and truth.
We're talking about George Lucas.
Oh, Taxi Driver. I was just saying, let's do a little on Taxi Driver, and then we'll call our episode done. Taxi Driver, I remember seeing that in the theater. I saw it in the theater when it came out as a
Oh, fuck, how old were you, man?
I was like, not supposed to be in there.
Kind of fucked up parents if they took you to see that shit.
Well, you'll see what happened as a result, you know who I am.
You were talking about seeing Jaws at theater. I remember, like, everybody, like, I want to see Jaws theater. I think it was only PG, and my parents wouldn't let me go see it.
Was it PG?
Yeah, it was PG.
It was scary as shit for PG.
Well, that's the guy that invented PG-13, Steven Spielberg.
Right.
And I guess you're talking about the 70s, like, talk all the directors that are still around, like Spielberg and Scorsese and all these guys, and
yeah,
just big giants.
They found their way through. De Palma, too.
De Palma.
Came out.
Even the last time I saw him, it was some direct-to-video shit, but still, you just think how much these guys have been around, and that was pretty much like when they crack their teeth on shit was the 70s. Like, I don't know. That's pretty much my favorite decade.
Yeah. Well, we like the 70s, and we hope you do too. We'll see you next week. Maybe we'll get into the 80s, the 90s, hell, even the 2000s. I'm Tom Miller.
I'm Cinemike.
And that's it today for Miller and Cinemike.